Well, good morning. How are you all today? I'm here to invite you to a war. I'm going to put this up on both channels, so welcome to both Integrative Preparedness and American Reversion. If you're not familiar with the difference between the channels, Integrative Preparedness is more about preparedness, and American Reversion is a little bit about preparedness, but about the political aspects of what our country is going through. You know, there's there's preparedness aspects in politics, in the political realm, and there are political aspects in the preparedness realm, and some people don't understand that. The two work together. If you only work one individually, you're not really either prepared or involved in, the proper process of being able to sustain yourself during difficult political times. So I hope that most of you, watch both of the channels. If you're not with us on American Reversion, I invite you over there. I always put the link down below, and we have some good political discussions among some very smart people, and I mean intelligent, not hateful. Kelly and I went out yesterday and committed a democracy. We voted. Democracy, a word that's has a nice ring to it until it's misused and misunderstood. It's the moron-in-chief's favorite word, it seems, from his speech the other night. And he's getting things ready, and the other side is getting things ready to light this thing up. And the war starts Tuesday. And there will be some that say, well, the war started a long time ago, and the war started last week, and the war started at the last election, and I will agree with all of those points. It's all of those things. This has been a downhill ride for a long, long time. It's been downhill ever since I started paying attention to politics, which was just a little bit in the 60s. In the 70s, I spent most of my time in bars and go-go joints, so I didn't pay much attention. But then after that, after Reagan came in, I started paying more attention, and I started learning. And there are those who say that being involved in the political process is worthless because the political process itself is corrupt. I'll agree with the second half. The political process is corrupt. It's as corrupt as can be. But I'll disagree with the first part. And the first part is that being involved in it is worthless. It is the fight that we have now. Okay. And this fight that usually in the past has simply been in the back rooms and the politics and the cheating and everything has gone a couple of times from a Cold War to a hot war. If we remember that Summer of Love in 2020, was that when it was? Yeah, whatever, winter, doesn't matter. The riots in the 2020, the mostly peaceful riots that killed a lot of people and attacked police and burned down businesses and all that. We can say that it was that was a hot war, is when it became a hot war. We could say that the Cold War against those of us who hold to the foundational principles of our country became very warm during the shutdowns, during the lockdowns, to where they tried to deprive many of us of our jobs, our livelihoods, and they did, by threatening. By threatening if we did not allow something to be done to us, experimental, whatever, if we didn't do that. So that was a major push. Some of us held out. Kelly and I lost our jobs over it, but you know what? Because we were prepared, because we do what I preach, we were ready to go without that that resource from an outside entity. That's what I talk about. Preparedness is being able to continue to live your life well outside of all those external systems that you have little or no control over. So, but it did kill a lot of people. It harmed a lot of people. It destroyed people. It destroyed families. It destroyed businesses. So we can say, whether that was a warm war or a hot war at the time, because it did result in deaths. We will see. But this this process, this political process that's been going on, is about to get hot. And that's what I mean about the war starts Tuesday. And that's for the guy that can't stand me drinking coffee on on my videos. Just for you, let me do one more. I have fun with life. Tuesday's going to be a heck of a day. We've seen record turnouts here. I couldn't believe how many people were voting over there the other day, but that reminds me of something too. I thought the same thing during the 2020 presidential elections when we went over there for early voting. You can say whether you agree or disagree with early voting. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think it would be better if everybody had to go. They could give everybody a day off, except for all the welfare people that vote in the Democrats. Of course, they don't need a day off, but everybody can they can make it a national holiday and excuse me. And go down and vote. Should be one day, except for those people who are legitimately, away from their voting area because of business or military service or whatever. There should be allowances for that. But for the most part, most people should be able to get down and vote on a day. We used to be able to do that. And there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to now. That voting should take a little effort. It should take a little more effort than being automatically registered to vote. One of the problems with our country is that far too many people are voting, and I love this idea about voter suppression and we need everybody voting. I even can't stand it when I hear it from people on my side. The more people who vote, the better. That's idiotic. We have far too many stupid people voting who shouldn't have a right to vote. I'll do a separate one on that over on American Reversion. We need to trim back who can vote and who can't. Okay, this idea that universal suffrage is a constitutional right is not true if you study the background of the vote. And if you want to really get an idea of what I think about voting, read my books. Lee over at Cold War Prepper did an excellent video last week or some time ago. He was reviewing my 5th book, The Blessings of Freedom, and in it he was talking about how I'm writing about who gets to be citizens, who gets to be, I call them friends, or family, friends, guests, and then outsiders who we just don't let in. There's other people could learn a lot. That's from my series, the Stonemont series. If you want to learn all about preparing for, surviving, and coming out the other end and rebuilding quality of life after a total collapse, I don't care whether it's a CME or a collapse of the government, my books will tell you all about it. If you haven't read them, you should. You'd like them. It's a great story with good people in them and bad people, like I always say, and the good people take care of the bad people the way that bad people ought to be taken care of. I talk about justice. I talk about history. I talk about the foundational principles of our country, of our families under God, and the way things were meant to be, and the way things should be again. The way to get those is down below. I put the links down there, either to get them through Amazon and paperback or Kindle, or you can get autographed paperback from me, and there's a way to do that down there too. Excuse me just a second. No reason you all should have to hear all of my morning coughing. So anyway, so it reminded me when we were over there voting, yesterday or the day before, whenever. It was yesterday. We had a rain day, and it was just packed. It was just packed. And, but when we saw that during the 2020 elections, when Trump, lost, we took we said, all right, man, people are really turning out. They're starting to turn on, and they understand what's going on. It came out opposite of what we thought would happen. I think we underestimate. I almost said a George W. Bush word, misunderestimate. We underestimate how many people out there just don't feel the way we do, just don't think the way that we do. They feel, they don't think, they don't understand. There are plenty of them out there, more than you think. And, some of this stuff can be written up to cheating. Yeah, I get it. But I think that there's a basic misunderstanding amongst many of us at how many people just are a little idiotic, weak-minded people who understand nothing about freedom and liberty and are easily persuaded to follow that path of socialism, Marxism, communism, as long as they don't use those words, right? Because it sounds good to them. So what's going to happen this next Tuesday? That's the important thing to think about. We think there's going to be a red wave, a red tsunami. I hope that there is. Not that that's going to save us. And for those of you who say, well, that won't fix it, that doesn't make it, yeah, it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference. And I'm sorry that you don't see it. I'm sorry that you won't participate in the fight that we have here. See, this is the fight that we have right now. Okay. Some people seem to be waiting for this imaginary fight sometime in the future when they're going to raise up and finally become a part of the resistance and this and that and everything. Well, we got to fight right now. So if you're not showing up for it, you're not going to convince me that you're going to show up for anything later. Okay, you're simply not being a part of the process. You're not being. I don't care if you believe it or not. Not believing in the political process is like not believing in the common cold. It exists. It's how you handle it. That matters. So it's the fight that we've got now. Are we gonna win this one? Are we going to win this? And I don't consider myself any part of a we, except those who commonly hold to those foundational principles and would like to take America back to what we talk about on the American Reversion Channel. When I say America needs a reversion, it needs to be taken back to the way things were and were meant to be. We cannot continue on this path. We cannot continue on this path. It's just taking us down into a ditch. The Republicans, they just take us slower into the ditch, okay? So, the idea of one bird with two wings, a right and a left, but, you got really kind of 1.5 left wings and a half of a right wing. So that's why this bird keeps flying in circles. But I'd rather be going slower right now. And there is the argument that, well, I just want the whole thing to crash so that we can start all over again. Well, starting all over again is going to be one whopping mess. And the more time I have to prepare for that, the better off I feel. So I think it is important if there is a Republican landslide. But I'll put the politics over to the side for a moment. What's going to happen if we do have a Republican landslide? As I said yesterday, I think it was, the left is just going to go stark raving nuts. You're going to see violence increase like you haven't seen it before. You're going to see, I think there's a possibility that we'll see this country go to a place that we have not seen it before since that war in the 1800s. Okay, for you who hate me to take a sip, that is good coffee. Folgers Instant. That's all I've drunk for years. Good coffee is wasted on me. This is good coffee to me. I don't figure that paying $5 a cup for coffee is my way of. Anyway, hang on. Somebody was calling me. Okay. I think you're going to see this country go to a place that's just going to erupt. And that's going to bring about some challenges and some opportunities. Every day, problems always bring opportunities. It's just, whether you can recognize them. If this thing starts to really go, and I would say that the dangers are both communal and individual. And by that I mean communal. I think there could be major riots, there could be major attacks, there could be attacks against conservative representatives, conservative organizations, conservative, whatever. Just pick your conservative, organization. There are going to be attacks against those. There are going to be riots in the streets, but then also there's going to be attacks, or it's going to be dangerous for conservative people. And they will. These people are crazy. There's never been anything like this. I mean, I remember the riots in the late 60s. I lived through them. I remember, kind of, some hills and valleys in between. Nothing like this. There was never a time in my memory that there have been so many crazies willing to go to a violent extreme within the political process as we see now. Now, we've never seen it on our side. We've never seen it from the right, because for the most part, we're law-abiding citizens, right? Even though we're painted as hateful and insurrectionists and everything like that. No, we're not. No, we're not. And that's why we're always fighting a defensive game, because we're not out there to go after anybody. We try to participate in the process, and then sometimes have to defend ourselves. Look at the people who have had to defend themselves in court against some of the major players in politics, the conservative side. That's the war that they have been waging on the upper level. The war that they are going to wage on the lower level is coming. It starts Tuesday. It starts Tuesday when election day comes around, when the news starts reporting, early returns indicate this, and there's going to be all sorts of shenanigans about that. The moron is chief has already told us now, it's going to take several days to find out who really won these races, so let's be patient. He's telling us to be patient, not the other side to be patient. He's also telling the other side, I suppose, because he's assuring them that, don't worry, we've got it in the bag. If it looks like there's a conservative or a Republican tsunami, don't worry, we have plans for that. We're going to take that. Well, that gets, when a country no longer has fair elections, when a country no longer has a true representative government, republic government, well, what is that country? What kind of a country is that? What kind of a government is that? I'm asking a question. I'm not calling for anything, so please don't leave any comments down here, because I'll take them off. If somebody comes down here and leaves a comment about we need to, and suggests some kind of violence, not going to happen. Don't put it here, because I'll just figure you're trying to get this channel flagged and all that. No. Intelligent people can express themselves without making threats, okay? So what kind of a country do we have? If we find out that everything has fallen apart, what do? That's a decision that each individual has to make for themselves. On the preparedness side, the more prepared you are, the more able you are to make individual decisions on how you are going to interact with the system, okay? To what extent you're able to separate yourself from the system and therefore minimize its impact on you and your family. Okay? On the American reversion side, it means we fight harder. We fight harder. I'll talk about it more probably after Election Day, depending on what happened, because there's going to be different ways to go depending on what happens. But we fight harder. Even if there is a wave, a red wave, it doesn't mean that our job is over. What it means is our job has changed. Our job has changed from getting people in that say they agree with us more, okay, to holding them accountable. And we have to do that every day. We have to be just as vocal with them, holding them to the line, as we have been in getting them in office. And that's where we fail so often. Once our side gets in, oh, good, we won. Now we leave it up to them to fight. They're not going to fight. They're not going to fight. They're going to get up there and they are going to go along with the system, most of them, not all of them. Most of them are going to go along with the system. You ever seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington? You got to watch it. And well, you can watch what's happened in our own House and Senate, right? You see it right before your eyes. But remember that above all else, they want to be reelected, and it's only pressure from their constituents that shows them which way they need to go. If they don't hear from their constituents, if they don't get any pressure, if they are not held, if they don't understand that everything they are doing is being watched and judged, they'll realize, hey, I don't have to worry about the people that voted me in. Okay, I can now be a part of the club up there in Washington, be good friends with all those people, go back to my district every now and then and talk about how I'm fighting for them, and I'll get reelected, and then I've got, I turn into an instant millionaire after I've done a couple of terms. I came out of my waitressing or bartending job, and I'll be a millionaire, and these poor little puds down here that are voted for me, so stupid, what do I care about them? Now, that's not everybody. There are some who do it right, but too many like that. The reason they do is because they are not held to account by their constituents, and that's what we have to do. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Get ready. Prep up a little bit this weekend. Think about what could happen. Like I say, make sure your vehicles are topped off and good tires and are running condition. Don't go to those areas. It could be dangerous. Pack in a little extra food. Pack in some cookies. Bake a cake or something like that. Because when SHTF, you don't want to be just eating beans and rice. You want to live life well, right? Sit back and watch it. Separate yourself from it until you see that it's time that you can make a difference. But right now, the difference you make is going to be voting. Get out there. If you haven't voted, get out there and vote, because if you don't vote, you can't whine about what's happening, okay? All right, you all have a good day. On integrative preparedness, we say prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. On American reversion, we say America needs a reversion. It needs you to be a part of it. It needs me to be a part of it. It needs all of us to be a part of it. All of that's true, and it all really does work together. So you all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.